More and more children are out of school, but parents don't want math learning to stop. They're turning to Mathnasium at Home. Real-time math instruction tailored to your child's exact educational needs. It's the same face-to-face live instruction used in our centers for over 15 years, now on a computer. Your child can keep their math skills sharp, catch up, or soar ahead, from home or anywhere with an internet connection. To learn if Mathnasium at Home is right for your child, visit mathnasium.com/at-home. Mathnasium at Home, changing lives through math.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's Mathnasium Schoolhouse lesson. My name is Kevin and we are going to be doing our final lesson in our Multiplication Mastery series. Today we're going to be talking about 6s, 7s, and 8s. So while I get everything set up, go ahead and, as usual, let me know what your name is, what grade you're in. If you're one of our Mathnasium students, let us know that as well. And we will go ahead and get started. So the first thing I wanted to go through today was a little bit of review from our first two lessons. And if you weren't here, that's okay, because as we go through this review, we'll talk briefly about the different strategies that we learned in our first 2 days. So let's go ahead and kick it off with number 1. So how would we think about 5 times 3? What are some different ways, using the strategies that we learned in the past couple days, to do 5 times 3? We can remember for 3's that it's doubling plus 1. So we could do 5 times 2 plus another 5. So what would that be? 5 times 2 is going to be 10, plus another 5 is 15. For number 2, we know that 2 times 8, we can use our turnaround facts and look at it as 8 times 2, or 8 doubled, which is 16. Nice job. All right. Remember when we were working with 11s yesterday and we could recognize that pattern? So for 11 times 7, thinking about that pattern, or if you don't quite remember that, we talked about multiplying by 11. It's the same thing as doing multiply by 10 plus multiply by 1. So if we do 10 times 7 and 1 times 7, we can add those up and we get 77. Looking at number 4, 5 times 4, or 5 4 times. When we're multiplying by 4, we want to think about doubling and times 2, and we're going to do that twice. So the strategy for this one that we learned was doing times 2 twice. So that's going to give me 10 and 10. If I add those up, I get 20. Number 3, pretty simple. 1 times 3. 1 3 times is 3. For number 6, we talked about for number 1, for when we multiply by 3, we want to do double it and then one more. So if I double 12, I get 24. And if I add 12 to 24, I get 36. So 12 times 3 is 36. Number 7, I know that 9 doubled is 18. Number 8, we can either double 10 or we can think about it as 2 times 10. When I multiply anything by 10, we know that we can just think about that as multiplying by 1, moving that answer over to the tens place and adding a 0. So if I do 2 times 1, that's 2. If I add a 0 at the end, I get 20. All right. For 12s, we looked at these yesterday. Remember, we want to think about this one as 5 times 10 and 5 times 2. So instead of doing 5 times 12, we can do 5 times 10 and 5 times 2. 5 times 10 is 50, and 5 times 2 is 10. So if I add those together, I get 60. So I know that 5 times 12 is 60. 3 times 3, or 3 times. We know that that one is 9. Nice job. All right. 2 4 times, or 4 doubled, is 8. For number 12, 1 11 times, or again using our turnaround facts, 11 1 times, or 11 once is just 11. Nice job. All right. Number 13. 5 times 9. And we talked about, and I'm going to write this one over here, so I've got a little bit more room. Times 9 was one of the last ones that we did yesterday, and we thought about it as we can multiply by 10, and then we can subtract 1 to get us back to 9. So if I know that 5 times 10 is 50, and 5 times 1 is 5, I subtract those, that gives me 45, so we know that 5 times 9 is 45. Good job. Very nicely done. Okay. 2 times 6, using our turnaround facts, 6 doubled is 12. Well done. 4 times 7, we can do turnaround facts here. 7 times 4, or 7 times 2 and 7 times 2. We know that is 14 and 14, so if I add up those, I get 28. And last one here, 7 times 5. What do we think for this last one here on our warm-up page? 5 times 7 or 7 times 5, whichever way is easier for you to think about. Let me know what you guys think the answer for that one is. Hi, how's it going? All right, 5 times 7, 35. Nice job. All right, let's talk about sixes. So we want to go through this review and a little bit more practice of writing these multiplication problems as repeated addition and then finding the sum. So if I have 6 times 3, I've got 6 3 times. And if we look at the sum of those, I have 6, 12, 18. So 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 11, so I've got 6 11 times. All right. So we know that we had a strategy for 11s, but if we want to do this as repeated addition, we should add all these up. So I've got 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60, 66. 6 times 11 is 66. Good job. All right, so for number 7, let's write this repeated addition as a multiplication problem and then find the product. So I've got 3, 6, 7. So 6 7 times is what? 6 7 times. What do we think for that one? 42. Nice job. All right, last one. I have 6, how many times? 5. 6 times 5 is what? If I add up those 5 6s, what do I get? 30. Well done. All right. So if we're thinking about what is 6 times 12, we can, just like we did for times 11 and times 12, when we decompose those numbers down into something that was more familiar, we used 10 and 1 or 10 and 2. But if we're thinking about our 6, we can decompose or break that down into times 5 and times 1. So if I do if I do 5 times 12, I get 60, and if I do 1 times 12, I have 12, and if I add those up, I get 72. So again, we were originally looking at 6 times 12. And we're going to decompose this 6 down into 5 times 12 and 1 times 12. And if I add those up, I have 60 plus 12, which is 72. So I know that 6 times 12 is 72. So if we look at number 1, I'm looking at 6 times 7, and if I do 5 times 7 is 35, and 1 times 7 is 7. What do I get if I add those together? 35 and 7 is what? $42. Good job. All right. Next one, 5 times 9. We don't have the answer given to us here, so we have to think about our 5's facts. Think about what is 5 times 9. It's 45. Very nice. And 1 times 9 is 9. So if I add those together, I get 54, which means that 6 times 9 is 54. Looking at number 3, 5 times 3 is 15, and 1 times 3 is 3. So if I'm doing 6 times 3, I want to add up 15 and 3, 18. 6 times 3 is 18. So 6 times 11, we want to do 5 times 11 plus 1 times 11. So that gives me 55 and 11. So 6 times 11 must be 66. Nicely done. Last one here, 6 times 6. I'm going to do 5 times 6 and 1 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 1 times 6 is 6. I add those up. 36. Nice job. All right, let's look at, and I wanted to get some more practice with these because it's the first time we're working on decomposing, not using a 10 as one of our jumping off points. So let's look at this chart here. The multiplier is 7. So if I have 5 times my multiplier, 5 times 7 is 35, and 1 times 7 is 7. So 6 times, for this first one, is 6 times 7 is 42. Because if I add 35 and 7, I get 42. So let's look at our next one here. Looking at 4 as our multiplier. So I've got 5 times 4 is 20. And 1 times 4 is 4. So I know that 6 times 4 is 24. So if we write out our whole fact here, 6 times 4 equals 24. So that should clear up how this chart works a little bit. So let's go ahead and look at the next one. What's 5 times 1? That one's pretty easy. 5. Nicely done. And 1 times 1 is 1. If I add those together, I get 6. So I know that 6 times 1 equals 6. Nice job. All right, 5 times 11 is 55. 1 times 11 is 11. So if I sum those up, I get 66. So my 6's fact is 6 times 11 equals 66. Nicely done. Very nice. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 3 is 3. The sum of those two numbers is 18. So I know that 6 times 3 is 18. So hopefully everybody's a little bit more comfortable now with decomposing numbers and using that to our advantage when we're talking about different multiplication facts. So let's get a little bit more practice with our 6s, and then we'll go ahead and move on to 7s. So for number 3, 5 times 7 is what? What is 5 times 7? $35, and 1 times 7 is 7. So 6 times 7 is 42. 5 times 11 is 55. We did this one just a minute ago. 11 times 1 is 11. So 6 times 11 is 66. Let's see if we can do number 5 mentally without having to write out the different steps. So I know that 5 times 12 is 60, and 1 times 12 is 12. So if I sum 60 and 12, I get 72, and I know that that is the answer for 6 times 12. Same thing for number 6. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 3 is 3. Add those up, I get 18. 6 times 3 is 18. Number 7. Go ahead and write this one out. 5 times 5 is 25. And 1 times 5 is 5. If I add those up, I get 30. 5 times 8 is 40. And 1 times 8 is 8. So if I add 40 and 8, I get 48. 6 times 8 is 48. 5 times 9, we worked on our 5s yesterday, is 45. And 1 times 9 is 9. So if I add 45 and 9, I get 54. Good job. Looks like you guys are keeping up quite nicely today. Last one on this page. 5 times 6 is 30. 1 times 6 is 6. 30 and 6 gives me 36 for my product of 6 times 6. All right. Looking at 7s, following a little bit of the same process as before, we want to get our repeated addition practice, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the strategy for 7s. So 7 times 5. If we add these up to get the sum, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 10, we're probably thinking about our strategy for multiplying by 10s. You can use turnaround facts to get it to that point if that's easier, but let's go ahead and get the repeated addition practice. So what do we think for this one? 7 10 times. Nice job, 70. All right, writing our repeated addition problems as multiplication and finding the product. We have 7 how many times? 3, 6, 8. What is 7 times 8? What is 7 times 8? What do we think? 7, 8 times. We could add all those numbers up, or we do 56. Good job. Nicely done. All right, last one here. 7 4 times. 7 times 4. Good job. 28. So we're going to do a very similar thing with our 7s that we did with our 6s, and we're going to decompose it down into 5 being our jumping off point. And then we know that from 5 to 7 is 2, so I need to multiply by 2 more. So we'll go ahead and model this one out. We're looking at 7 times 12. So 7 times 12. And I'm going to decompose my 7 down into 5. Multiply by that by 12 plus 2 times 12. So 5 times 12 we know is 60, and 2 times 12 is 24. So if I add those together, I get 84. So I can reason that 7 times 12 equals 84. Nice job. All right, number 1. 7 times 9. So we're going to decompose that 7 down into 5 and 2. So 5 times 9 is 45, and 2 times 9 is 18. So if I sum those together, what do I get? 45 and 18. Gives me 63. Well done. All right, number 2, 7 times 8. So 5 times 8 is 40. 2 times 8 is 16. If I add those up, 40 and 16, I get 56. Starting to make sense, starting to look like what we've done before with our 6s. So if I know that 5 times 3 is 15, and 2 times 3 is 6, if I add those up, I get 21. So 7 times 3 is 21. Next one here, we're going to do 5 times 11 and 2 times 11. 5 times 11 is 55, and 2 times 11 is 22. So that means that 7 times 11 is 77. Last one on this page, 5 times 5 and 2 times 5. So I have 25 plus 10, so 7 times 5 is 35. All right, good job with that. So let's go ahead and, just like we do with our 6s, work on this chart here for our 7s. So 5 times 7 is 30. I'm sorry, 5 times 6 is 30. 2 times 6 is 12. Good catch there, guys. So I know that 7 times 6 is 42. So, looking at our next one here. 5 times 4 is 20. 2 times 4 is 8, which must mean that 7 times 4 is 28. So our fact here is 7 times 4 equals 28. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. 5 plus 2 is 7. I'm glad you like the charts. I really like the charts too. I think it lays things out very nicely. So our multiplication fact here for this one is 7 times 1 equals 7. And you may not have needed the chart to know that one, but it helps demonstrate our point very nicely. So glad that we're all following along. I know that 5 times 11 is 55, and 2 times 11 is 22. If I add those up, I get 77. So my 7's fact is 7 times 11 equals 77. 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6. Sum those up, I get 21. So my 7's fact is 7 times 3 equals 21. Last one here. 5 times 7 is 35. 7 times 2 is 14. The sum of those is 49. So I know that 7 times 7 equals 49. So we should start to be getting a pretty good handling on this strategy for multiplying by 7s and decomposing that down into 5s and 2s. So let's go ahead and get a bit more practice here with this one. 7 times 2 7 doubled we know is 14. We don't necessarily need to use the strategy for that one. 5 times 7, we can do 5 times 5 and 2 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, and 2 times 5 is 10. If I add those up, that gives me 35, which means 5 times 7 is 35. For number 3, we can use our tens fact here. We know that 7 times 10 is the same thing as 7 times 1 if we add a 0. So we get 70. 9, 7 times. We can either use our strategy for 7s or we can use our strategy for 9s. So let's get a little bit of practice from yesterday and talk about our 9 strategy. So instead of doing 9 7 times, I can do 10 7 times minus 1 times 7 because I know 10 minus 1 is 9. 10 times 7 is 70, 1 times 7 is 7, so I know that 9 7 times, 9 sevens, or 9 times 7 gives me 63. So a little bit of review from yesterday. Different way to ask this question. 7, how many times equals 28? 7, how many times equals 28? How will we get to this one? What do we think? How many 7s do I need to add to get to 28 is another way we can think about this one. We can use repeated addition. So I have 7, 14, 21, 28. So I know that 7 times 4 is 28. Nice job. 11 times 7, we've done this one a handful of times. We can use our 11 strategy, is 77. For number 7, we'll go ahead and use our 7s strategy. So 5 times 2, 5 times 7, apologize, plus 2 times 7. So what do we get here? 5 times 7 is 35, and 2 times 7 is 14. If I sum those up, I get 49. Nice job. 7, how many times is 84? For this one, I want to think about how close can we get to 84 with a 7s fact that we know really, really well. I like to start with 10s. So if I'm trying to get to 7 times some number equals 84. Well, I know that 7 times 10 gives me 70. And I know that to get, let me move this down a little bit actually. All right, and I know that if I want to get from 70 up to 84, I need 14 more. So 7 times what? 2 gives me 14. And exactly right in the comments, nice job. 7 times 12 is 84, and I can just get there by doing 7 times 10 plus 7 times 2. Good job. Number 9, pretty easy here. 1 7 times is 7. I can erase my work from the other one to make this a little bit clearer for you. 7 times 8, we can do 5 times 8 plus 2 times 8. And 5 times 8 is 40, and 2 times 8 is 16. If I add 40 and 16, I get 56. Good job. Number 7, we'll follow this one right along. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6. So 7 times 3 is 21. And same thing for number 12. 5 times 6 is 30. And 2 times 6 is 12. If I add those together, I know that 7 times 6 is 42. Last couple here, and we're actually going to go ahead and skip our repeated addition practice for 8s. I think you guys get the idea there. So let's go ahead and just jump right into our strategy for our 8s. And we're going to be doing something very similar that we did for 9s. We're multiplying by 10, but instead of just taking away 1, we have to take the number away twice to get from 10 back down to 8. So we can kind of follow along here on the left. 10 times 6 is 60, and 2 times 6 is 12. And I know that 8 equals 10 minus 2. So I can do 10 times 6 and 2 times 6, again to get 60 and 12. Subtract those numbers to get 48. So let's go ahead and try number 1 down here. 10 times 9 is 90, and 2 times 9 is 18. So if I subtract 18 from 90, what do I get? 90 minus 18 is 72. So 8 times 9 is 72. Let's go ahead and look at number 2. 10 times 4 is 40, and 2 times 4 is 8. So 40 minus 8 is 32. So 8 times 4 is 32. Number 3. 10 times 11 is 110. 10 times 11 is 110, and 2 times 11 is 22. So if I do 110 minus 22, I'll get my answer for 8 times 11. 88. Good job. We also know our strategy for 11s. We could have used turnaround factors there if we needed to. 8 times 8, we can do 10 times 8 minus 2 times 8. 10 times 8 is 80. 2 times 8 is 16. If I subtract 16 from 80, if I do 80 minus 16, I get what? 64. Good job. All right, last one here for this page. 10 times 5 minus 2 times 5. 10 times 5 is 50. 2 times 5 is 10. So 8 times 5 must be 40. Very nicely done. Let's go ahead and do our chart here for 8s. 10 times 4 is 40. 4 times 2 is 8. If I subtract those, I get 32. So my 8's fact must be 8 times 4 equals 32. Next one here, 10 times 1 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2. Subtracting those, I get 8. So my 8's fact, 8 times 1 equals 8. Nicely done. 10 times 11 is 110. 2 times 11 is 22. If I subtract those numbers, I get 88. My 8's fact is 8 times 11 equals 88. A few more here. 10 times 3 is 30. 2 times 3 is 6. 30 minus 6 is 24. So my 8's fact is 8 times 3 equals 24. All right. A little bit different way to think about this next one. It's not giving us the multiplier. So we're trying to figure out our multiplier. We don't know what goes here yet. But I can start to figure that out based on what's filled in. So 10 times what equals 50? 10 times what equals 50? We're trying to fill in our multiplier. What do we think? Let me know what 10 times what equals 50. What do you think it is? Let me know in the comments what 10. Yeah, exactly. Nice job. 5. Okay. So that's the missing piece of the puzzle. So 2 times 5 is what? 2 times 5 is 10. So if I subtract those, following what I did for the rest of my chart, I have 40. So my 8's fact is 8 times 5 equals 40. All right. Another little bit of a puzzle here. 2 times what equals 0? 2 times what number equals 0? Looking to fill in our multiplier here. 0. Very good. And 10 times 0 is 0. Subtract 0 from 0, I have 0. So my 8's fact is 8 times 0 is 0. Well done. All right. Last couple problems here. Let's see what we can't do. Let's make these a little bit bigger. All right, how's that look? All right. Try and make that a little bit bigger for you guys. So 10 times 8 is 80. Looking at number 3 here. 10 times 8 is 80. 2 times 8 is 16. If I do 80 minus 16, I get the answer for 8 times 8. And that is 64. Okay. 10 times 4 is 40. 2 times 4 is 8. Looking at subtracting those two numbers, 40 and 8. So 40 take away 8 is 32. So 8 times 4 is 32. Last couple here. Let's go ahead and use any of the strategies that we've learned so far. Use any of our strategies. So 8 times 10. I think it's easy to use our 10 strategy there, and I know that that one is 80. 7 times 8. What do we want to do for this one? Do we want to do what we learned for 7s, or do we want to do what we learned for 8s? Let's go ahead and use what we just learned for 8s. So 10 times 7 minus 2 times 7. 10 times 7 is 80. 2 times 7 is 14. If I subtract those, what do I get? Oops. 10 times 7 is 70. Yep, 56. You guys are right. Good catch. Good catch. All right, 8 times 9. Let's use our 9 strategy for this one. So we're going to do 8 times 10 minus 8 times 1. 8 times 10 is 80. 8 times 1 is 8. Subtract those two, I get 72. All right. 2 8 times, we can use a turnaround fact and do 8 doubled is 16. Somehow we managed to get the same problem in here. 8 times 10. We know that that one's 80. And last one for today, 8 times 5. So I know 5 times 10 is 50. And I know that 5 times 2 is 10. If I subtract those two, I get 40, which is 5 times 8. All right, that is all we have for today. I want to thank everybody for joining. It's been great talking to you guys the past couple of days about mastering our multiplication facts. Hopefully you learned something new. Let us know in the comments what you learned. If you did learn something new, what strategies you're going to use going forward with your multiplication problems. And we're really excited for you guys to join us for the rest of the week. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.
It's afternoons that seem to be the most hectic for us, so it was much more convenient when we found Mathnasium at home.
All right, so how do we do half of 5? I think one of the best things about at home is that it really feels like you're almost at home with the student in their house teaching them.
I'm in my comfort zone.
You can just ask for help and the instructor will come right to you.
With Mathnasium at home, I know that they're getting the help that they need.
Awesome, great job.
Mathnasium, changing lives through math.